Night, with its stillness, bone-chilling, cold and low-lying, dense fog is exhilarating. Its strange ominous noises, its deformed shadow, twisting, leering and looming to clutch at one's throat is absolutely breathtaking. The murky landscape lined with the most foul-smelling of rotted tree stumps, slime-covered stones and gruesomely gnarled tree roots cause a little fright to some poor unsuspecting fool. This is the night of nights. The night that this path, laden with unsuspecting horrors, will cause many souls to become mine or perish damnably. This shortcut has always provided such memorable, merry chases before the victim ever reaches the safety of open meadows. For my enjoyment are the noises of the hooting owl, scurrying rats, howling wolves and napping snakes. Oops. How could I forget my fine warm-blooded, or should I say, cold-blooded friends, bats occasionally flying overhead and reporting zesty mischief of the evening ahead. Note, to say that night exists is incorrect because the day is never without light. There is always light because the moon is a source of light. When there is darkness on the earth, it is properly called shadow hour or shadow time, and this scroll night will be used. My job is quite easy on any given moment, but tonight I won't even have to work. Glory unbounding shall be lain at my feet, all the praises of hell fill the earth in honor. Men, women and children shall scourge the land and pour forth so delightfully terrifying and indescribable that all which will be occurring in that one night, one might think it an eternity. Someone approaches the path. What joys have I to expect this evening? Shall I immediately pounce, play hide and seek as is this lovely full moon, that rhythmically saunters in front of and behind the large, gray-black clouds that lends to an already heady essence to the evening ahead? I can see quite clearly now, the familiar figure approaching. Shame for me not to recognize my dear and faithful companion, Samantha, also known as Anak. She's truly a servant of servants, always at my beck and call. She puts such energy and enjoyment into searching and discovering ways to please me, especially in the way that is the most delightful and unholiest of pleasures. It's hard to find a good witch these days, let alone a faithful good witch these days, a faithful werewolf or a toothy Dracula. Well, it's that time of year again when cash registers ring sweetly, as big businesses sweep upon the masses, exploiting them with all sorts of commodities. Agencies and department stores get rich as the naive public falls prey to their hyped-up campaign. The Halloween season is big business. It is one of the 3 top candy-selling seasons of the year. The manufacturers of Halloween greeting cards, costumes and decorations take their fill of the large profits reaped by the public's desire for fun and folly, and the beginning of the Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve swing. Leering evil ones, grinning jack-o'-lanterns, creepy ghosts and goblins are all part of the Halloween spirit. If we take a closer look and examine this holiday for what it really is, we'll find that, not only is Halloween dangerous to life and property, but its roots are embedded in many centuries of old pagan practices. A pagan is one who is not a Muslim, Jew, or Christian, a heathen or peasant, one of no religious background, taken from Webster's New World Dictionary. Year after year, we see news reports of people being wounded and killed during this season. Little children are gowned in horrible masks and costumes, which invoke the jinn, evil forces. They receive trick or treats, sweet loaded with razor blades, needles, and poisonous candy. Running all about in dark-colored costumes, children become innocent victims of hit-and-run accidents. Each year, more and more people are viciously attacked by gangs of reckless youths who molest, assault and sometimes kill for fun. Property damage is at the top of the list during this night of feasting and frolicking. Why is this particular night, October 31st, filled with such death, violence and mayhem, the crime of maiming or mutilating a person? Is it possible that the purpose of Halloween is not really understood by most people, and in their innocence they become the victims of the night dedicated to death and violence? Halloween, as we know, can trace its roots to the Celts. The Celts were of the offspring of Canaan, grandson of Noah, who resided in the Caucasus Mountains. Their religious leaders were called the Druids, a member of a Celtic religious order, and were high priests. The word Druid means knowing the oak tree. This special class of priests held both political and religious functions. They took part in the election of kings, served as ambassadors, or delegates, and took part in battles. Their teachings consist of religious and magical matters. It also included astrology and study of the universe. Training to be a Druid was long and extensive. An ancient Druid custom set up human sacrifices. They believed that only the fruit of the body offered to Satan was for the sin of the soul. The religious ceremonies of the Celts were performed in the sacred oak grove, usually in the forest sanctuaries. After the Gallo-Roman period, pagan temples were built. Many polytheists worshipped a number of deities. Mercury being the great deity. Apollo, Mars, Jupiter, Minerva and Dipater were also worshipped. They worshipped nature, and human sacrifices were tossed into these fires to appease the sun to once again shine in its full strength after the long winter. Some public schools still have the children performing this pagan ritual. A May king and queen were chosen to symbolize, or said to be, incarnations of the vegetation spirits. All of these activities were believed to give fertility to soil and flocks. The gruesome human sacrifices of the Celts were performed not only to promote fertility, but to appease, thank or gain help from their deities. Most often, prisoners of war, thieves and murderers were sacrificed. However, innocent wives and children were occasionally tossed haplessly in the fires. The sacrificed victims were sometimes slain beforehand by arrows or by stakes driven through the temples. It was common to first build a large effigy, representation of a despised person, of wicker or wood and straw, then place the human victims within. The high priests, Druids, believed that by observing the way the victims die, they would be able to see omens of the future. October 31st was the most important day for the Celts, for it was their New Year's Day and the eve of their festival for Samhain, Lord of the Dead. Another name was the time for the gathering of many evil spirits and souls. This eve was the time for the gathering of many evil spirits and souls. To release the returning souls, the Druids sacrificed their animal and human victims. Charms, spells and predictions of the future were believed to be more power on the eve of Samhain. The name Samuel, which is shortened as Sam, is one of the names of the evil one. It is derived from the Turkish word Samiel, Sam poisonous and veil wind. This is also the name of Iblis when he was a baby cherubim from the Marid species. The most powerful of the rebellious race of Elohim, in Ashuric Syriac, Arabic, Samuel is Samael and means poison those of El, son of Shakar, a reptilian who raped the Anunnaki, Mylita. Dictionary and Glossary of the Quran by John Penrice, B.A. He defines this word as a pestilential scorching wind, which it is said shall penetrate into the bodies of the damned. It was from the fire of this wind that jinn or demons were created. Some of the many forms of the word are 1. Sam, to poison, penetrate. 2. Sam, poisoning or infecting with poison. 3. Samum, a hot wind also signifies death. 4. Masmum, poisoned, infected with poison, hit by a wind called Samum. Sama, in Aramaic, Hebrew, language Shem means name. So who is Uncle Sam? The national symbol of the United States, which is Uncle Sam, is closely related to this word Sama. The term Uncle Sam originated as an unfriendly nickname for the United States government during the War of 1812 AD. People in Upper New York and Vermont who opposed the war used the nickname. It first appeared in a book entitled The Adventure of Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam's costume is decorated with stars and stripes. He has white hair and he has chin whiskers just like the evil one's ram. Notice his swallowtail coat, vest and his tall hat. Doesn't his appearance resemble that of Abraham Lincoln? Don't tell me that is a coincidence, that Uncle Sam has the resemblance of the evil one's ram and Abraham Lincoln. There is no such thing as a coincidence, when compared to the ram caught in the thicket to be sacrificed by Abraham instead of his son Isaac. The truth to this is that those people in Vermont were saying that Uncle Sam is the evil one. The evil one is poison to your soul, and like a poison, the Amorite, physical devil will destroy your soul. Other names that the devil uses are Brother Jonathan, which is defined as the citizens of the United States collectively, or the government, and Yankee Doodle, an early American song with several versions of humorous verses that were popular during the Revolutionary Wars, and Sam Hill, a term for hell. If you don't believe, take a look at the word Sam Hillen in your encyclopedia. Have you ever questioned as to why the terms Uncle Sam and Brother Jonathan are used so frequently? Does all this seem like a coincidence? A coincidence is two incidents, being analogous with each other. However, I have given you so many facts, you must realize this malevolent being is not playing around. Face the facts, the evil one is for real. The evil one wants your soul and he's not trying to hide it. Remember Uncle Sam, the similitude of the father of the jinn, wants you. He wants you in his military, his government, his offices, his movies, his TV shows, etc. Anything to keep you from wanting your proper way of life, your proper way of dress, and your creator. These jinns are not sent from El Elo to guide man. So do not let the innocent appearance of these Christian ministers and preachers fool you. October 31st was also a time of paying honor to the sun god Baal or Sal or On, who had supposedly given the blessing for the harvest. The word Baal simply means Lord, husband, and man. The Amorite were under the rule of Nimrod, the Nubian ruler of Babylon and the self-proclaimed ruler of the Amorite. He was counseled by Merlin the magician, who was the physical manifestation of the evil one, corrupted by his lust for power, as well as inspired by Merlin's diabolical suggestions. Nimrod thrust the boundaries of his kingdom outward in all directions. His ruthlessness and cunningness knew no bounds. He married his own mother, Semiramis, whose own evilness was only exceeded by her son, Nimrod. Eventually, after the death of Nimrod was transferred into the deity Baal, and his mother was called the queen deity of heaven. The Sumerian deity Ishtar is also known by this title and exalted her son Tammuz. This is the original holy mother and child, who is now called Christ, that the Christians worship today. You will find this Madonna and Son in every culture around the world. These stem from the disagreeable being Ishtar, who helped in casting the spell of sleep, Kingu, called Leviathan on the descendants of Enlil and Enki, known as the Adamites and Enashites today, and just with different names in different cultures. By now it should be obvious that Halloween is the result of centuries of old pagan practices and worship. Yet, you still insist on participating in the vices of the disagreeable people. These people have no soul and are the same people who roamed barbarously in tribes thousands of years ago. Today, it does not mean that their job, to lead you off the Sirat el-Mustaqim, path leading to El Elo, Anu, the Most High El, then on further to the bosom of the Al el-Kulum, with their heathen holidays and feasts are over. During the 4th century AD, Roman Emperor, Constantine the Great, reigned 324 to 327 AD, declared Christianity as lawful. The spread of Christianity was slow due to pagan beliefs, rituals and practices of the masses. The heads of the church embarked on a mission to stamp out other pagan religions. The Celts' religious beliefs were too much for the Christians, so they compromised by giving the Celts, rituals and holidays new meanings and names. The Christians' All Saints' Day was originally celebrated on May 1st. This day honored early Christian martyrs. Another name for All Saints' Day allowed for the idolatrous Celtics, now Christians, to still celebrate on the Feast of Samhain. Now on October 31st, then became All Hallows' Eve, which was later shortened to Halloween. Now for all you so-called Christians who claim to follow Christ, but you know you don't, the Messiah didn't eat pork, get drunk, take intoxicants, smoke, etc., which are all your daily habits. All Saints' Day is merely a replacement of Festival of Samhain. Even with the new meaning given to these pagan rituals, the ghost, goblins, witches and various creatures of the darkness, in reality, remain the same. The actual celebration of Halloween is an European custom, which was brought to America in the 19th century by the Irish and the Scottish. Halloween is nothing more than a day of honor and tribute to Satan, the malevolent one. The Romans celebrated a festival for the dead in late October called Feralia. In November, they honored Pomena, deity of orchards. These two festivals gradually blended with the Celtic Samhain feast. Roman emperors were alarmed at the intermingling that went on between its citizenry and the Celtic peoples. They set out on a massive ban on the ancient Druid religion. These high priests, Druids, were hunted and killed, but the Celts held firm to their beliefs. Objects of mystery and legend, Halloween symbols have their roots in the Samhain festival and in the dawn of Halloween rituals. The cat, from the Felidae order, is an outstanding carnivore, meat eater. They are excellently designed for capturing and killing live prey. Cats are intelligent, alert and powerfully muscled. They are known to be quite finicky, having an air of sophistication about them, and are independent. The domesticated cat, Felis domiticus, was first domesticated in ancient Kemet, Egypt. They were essential in keeping the Egyptian storehouses free of pesky rodents. The Egyptians also worshipped a cat-headed deity called Sekhmet, also worshipped by the ancient Greeks and Romans, who ruled over witches, wizards, and ghosts. The Norse female deity, Freya, was a deity of beauty, love, marriage and the dead, and held the cat as one of her sacred animals. Among the Celts, cats were dreaded as supernatural beings. They believed that cats and humans, transformed into animals by evil powers. Cats were victims of Samhain fires because of this belief. The superstitions about black cats continued into their association with witchcraft. It is believed that witches and warlocks have the power to transform themselves into animal shapes. The evil one, or malevolent one, is believed to have appeared at the witches' Sabbat in the shape of cats, bucks, oxen, dogs, and transformed into black or gray cats, traveling to the Shabbats and dancing about at these rituals. Associated with the Druids, Samhain and later on with witches, the cat was marked as a true symbol of Halloween. Its arched back with hair on end, and yellow eyes glaring, the cat stood as a true symbol of the spirit of evil. In actuality, it was the cat who vowed to protect man during the creation of the pig, which involved the dog, cat and rat. During Abraham's time in Kemet, Egypt, with Imhotep and Zoser's graftation of the pig. The owl belongs to the bird order, Strigiformes. They are found throughout the world except in the cold climate of the Antarctic. Owls have eyes that face forward, giving them binocular vision. Their necks are very mobile, compensating for their restricted vision. Owls possess flexible feathers, allowing for silent flight. Most of the species of owls are nocturnal, night creatures and have a highly developed sense of hearing. All owls are birds of prey, feeding on small mammals, birds, fish and occasionally insects. There are two families of owls, the barn owl family Titanidae, which have heart-shaped faces and hunt mainly by sound, and the typical owls Strigidae, which are round-faced and have huge eyes. Each owl eats up to 10 mice in one meal. Because their feathers tip down, they fly in complete silence and they have night vision 100 times better than humans. The ancient Romans considered owls creatures of evil. It was believed that witches were able to transform themselves into owls. An owl's eerie shrieks on a lonely night would send any traveler swiftly on his journey. The Spanish word for owl bruja also means witch. Like bats, owls are nocturnal and their eyes are objects of fear, and mystery and legend. The grinning jack-o'-lantern carved from the face of a pumpkin is a well-known Halloween symbol. Its legend finds its roots in marshes and bogs throughout Europe. Pale eerie lights often appeared over the bogs and marshes, bobbing along like a lantern in someone's hand. Ignifatuous meaning foolish fire, are what these strange flickering lights really were. It is similar to the phosphorescence caused by spontaneous combustion of methane, a marsh gas that burn readily and easily. This gas is formed by rotting plants and animal forms in places that have little oxygen. Centuries ago, these lights were attributed to lantern men, often called hobo-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, will-o'-wisp or will. Many superstitions were made because of a lack of overstating of the causes of the light. It was believed to be souls of the sinner who were condemned to walk the earth until the end of time. One such legend came from an old Irish story about a man named Stringy Jack who liked to play tricks on the evil one. He tricked the evil one into promising not to claim his soul. When Jack appeared at the gates of hell, they turned him away. As the Scottish and Irish people migrated to America, they discovered the pumpkin, which they found to be an excellent substitute for their customary turnip. The pumpkins became the perfect jack-o'-lantern and has been used ever since. Goblins, like their counterparts banshees, leprechauns, fairies, brownies, and pixies, were evil spirits which were once thought to emerge on the festival of Samhain and later at Halloween. The name Mormorn means a specter, goblin, ghoul, spook or ogre, of German origin. The name goblin is derived from the French language and was given to these little people or fairy folk. According to historians, a tribe of small dark-skinned people averaging in height of 4.5 feet, lived in the northern part of Europe and the British Isles. They were said to be the enemies of the Celts, who eventually hunted them down and conquered them. The Celts being larger than goblins, goblins were also associated with the legendary gnomes. This word gnome was thought to be derived from the Greek word genomus, meaning earth dweller. Some gnomes work with stones, gems and metals and are supposed to be the guardians of hidden treasures. They live in caves, far down in what the Scandinavians call the land of Nibelungen. Many of these little people of legends and stories of folklore were actually extraterrestrial beings who are lacking a certain enzyme for digestion, and this caused these small beings to appear green. There are other gnomes who are called tree and forest spirits. To this group belongs the Sylvesters, Satyrs, Pans, Dryads, Hamadryads, Dirtollies, Elves, Brownies and little old men of the woods. According to folklore, the gnomes were ruled over by a king whom they greatly loved and revered named Gobi. His subjects were therefore called goblins. Medieval mystics gave a corner of creation to each of the 4 kingdoms of nature spirits, and because of their earthly character, the gnomes were assigned to the north, the place recognized by the ancients as the source of darkness and death. These little people were said to have worn green garments, which disguised them in the fields and forests. Bats are rat-like furry mammals with wings. They are the result of gene splicing between the bird, which accounts for the wings, and the rat, which accounts for the fur and tail. Bats have the fastest heartbeat of any mammal, 200 beats per minute. The vampire bat drinks more than their weight in blood in one night. The long-eared bat of Africa and Europe can hear a moth in flight. It is one of the many animals which made it outside of its class boundary. It is a side result from the developing or the creation of the pig. Next to rodents, the order of bats has the largest number of species among mammals, about 1,000 species in all. Megacoroptera are the suborders. These bats belonging to the Megacoroptera order are fruit-eating and are found in the tropical zones. The majority of bats, including all species found in the temperate regions, belong to the Microcoroptera order. They vary widely in eating habits. Many are insectivores, but are fruit eaters, fish eaters and bloodsuckers. Bats are nocturnal, night creatures. They use echolocation, a sort of radar that when used throws off ultrasonic waves, bouncing back warnings of any obstacle ahead. Echolocation prevents bats from collisions. The infamous true vampire bat has been the object of myths and legends, especially associated with the notorious Dracula. The true vampire bat feeds on the blood of warm-blooded vertebrae. Adaptable to change in their living conditions, they are mainly cave dwellers and fly at night in search of food, sleeping mammals and birds. When the vampire bat finds its victim, it silently alights and cuts a deep slit in the skin of the sleeping mammal with its razor-sharp incisors. The wound is painless. The vampire bat then puts its mouth to the slit and sucks the blood. These bats attack the hairless part of the victim's body, including the noses and toes of humans. One major problem caused by the true bat is the spread of rabies. In Venezuela, it is claimed that vampire bats have been responsible for the death of millions of cattle. Human casualties are also common in Trinidad and Brazil. Like the cat, the bat is also sacred to the Norse deity Freya, and also has a strong association with evil and witchcraft. Bat's blood is one of the ingredients said to be used in an ointment made by witches. They are believed to be the vehicle of souls of witches and cause of damage and destruction. It was ignorance due to superstition and lack of scientific knowledge, and overstanding of the nature of bat which played a part in the formation of European folk tales and beliefs. The Wolf Man and Dracula, two movie and screen stars, have instilled fear and terror in the hearts of children for years and years. How many nightmares have they invoked by their menacing appearance and inhuman behavior? Where did these characters originate? What facts and folklores did they arise from? Is there any truth behind these loathsome figures of fright? The werewolf is one of the most ancient and fascinating tales to have existed since the early medieval times. Several things can be attributed to the folk tale of the werewolf. The wolf has a cunning nature enabling him to survive mankind's attempts to hunt and control them. He has been a beast of fear and terror for centuries, throughout the mountainous regions, the forest of Europe, and other documentation that wolves will eat human flesh. One such case is the beast of Gévaudan, an extremely large wolf which plagued a remote corner of France during the 18th century, killing over 60 men, women, and children during a 2-year spree of terror. His ability to escape all attempts of annihilation earned the beast of Gévaudan a reputation for being a supernatural creature. Lycanthropy is the scientific name of condition which literally means wolf man. It takes its root from the Greek word lycanthropia. Lycanthropy is a rare disease, a form of insanity which makes its victims behave like wolves, showing all the savagery and physical characteristics of the species. The victim of lycanthropy did not actually change him or herself into a wolf. However, their behavior is beast-like, snarling, growling, running recklessly throughout the forests and fields in the blackness of the night, attacking man and animal in the most savage and gruesome manner. The night of the full moon, originally called Luna, and Kingu, was particularly feared, for it was known to be one of the periods in which the disease struck most often. Not to mention people start acting strange and are referred to as lunatics, which goes back to the madman responsible for the creation of your moon. During the Dark and Medieval Ages, when the Amorite lived in a barbaric and uncivilized condition, myths and fables were common to become manifest due to the fear of the unknown. It was believed, during this period of history, that the victim of lycanthropy could, at will, transmute themselves into real wolves. They were also believed to possess a magic ointment given to them by the Evil One, which when rubbed on their bodies commenced the hideous transformation. Witches were said to be able to metamorphose themselves, at will, into wolves as well as other creatures. The phenomenon of Homo ferus, wolf child. The wolf child is a human child, usually abandoned at infancy, that is raised by a she-wolf. These children, if not rescued in their early stages of development, will lack human behavioral characteristics and assume those characteristics of the beast, eating raw meat, walking on all fours, often unable to stand erect, and lack of ability for speech and communication with other humans. These children howl, snarl and growl and cannot tolerate the daylight. Recently, in the jungles of Sri Lanka, Ceylon, in the early 1970s AD, a wolf child was discovered. Wolf children are commonly found in Europe and India. Werewolves also originate from a group of extraterrestrials that are completely covered in fur from head to foot and are called Shaggies from the Orion galaxy. Romulus and Remus were among the earliest recorded instances of humans raised by wolves. It is fabled that they were the establishers of the Roman Empire. The two brothers asked for a sign from the gods to tell which would be the founder of the new city. Romulus was chosen by divine omens, and in a violent quarrel which ensued, murdered his brother Remus. Thus, the famed Roman Empire was derived from the Latin name of Romulus. The sooner you wake up and realize that witchcraft is not dead, it has just been sophisticated and cunningly directed at you, the sooner you will be well on your way to being released from the clutches of the Evil One. It is time for you to stop observing the Evil One's holidays such as Halloween, and sending your innocent children to trick or treat, begging for food that was once left to roaming dead spirits. It is time for you to realize who you are, who the Evil One is, and to come home. The truth is here, and there is not going to be any excesses accepted on the last day, such as, "I didn't know." The Evil One, Samael, cannot lead you astray if you don't follow him. During these last days, only those true to the Most High, Elion Elion El, will receive the protection of El Elo and will be sheltered from the wraths which will descend on man because of his rejection of the word of El Elo. Earthquakes, famine, death, genocide, war, radiation, all will be experienced by nations for people, except for the Muklasina, the purified ones, who will make it to the Crystal City and make it further to Nibiru. Remember the dates: May 5, 2000, August 12, 2003, and June 26, 2030 AD. You are not fighting a physical war but a mental battle, and our weapons are love, unity, right knowledge, and overstanding. The Nubian must no longer allow this wretched heinous beast to thrive off of our dignity and ignorance. This is why we as a people must fight to live as one. All Nubians, regardless of what you call yourselves, must come together in the brotherhood which you will find in the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek. For we are all one brotherhood. Righteousness is a weapon against the evil one, the arch-deceiver. We must become children of the Elohim. It's not about faith, not what you believe, because that's what Nakash, the whisper, did. He lied to Eve's, Nekeba, children be lie Eve. It's about facts. Only then will you truly overstand.